man. I know you guys have been doing quite a few events lately, speaking engagements, educating the public about raw foods and your journey. Could you give us an idea of what's coming up?
About is really taking your power back and really giving you the knowledge so that you can stimulate your mind and create thoughts within that are going to bring you more in harmony with your divine nature. Because when you get back to your divine nature, simple things such as breathing takes you into the divine. It slows down your mind. It allows your body to open up to receive a higher vibration. It allows your body to be more at ease all the time. So the classes and the talks are really about taking your power back. And what I really specialize on is really taking your power back. Because we are taught so many times to give up our power. And we give up our power to the church. We give our power up to so many times the black person giving it up to the white man giving up their power to the black man. And we're always taught to give up our power and always to blame instead of taking 100% responsibility for what comes across your door. And you say, well, what does he mean by taking 100% responsibility? Well, if any thought comes into your realm, if anybody brings a conversation into it, that means that whatever that conversation is going on, that means that conversation is within you too. And what I'm saying, taking 100% responsibility is learning methods to clear that thought without of you so that you can come back to that 0 point, to that 0 limit, to that point or state where you're at peace within yourself. And all we're talking about is there is so much data that we have. And as we hold on to our thoughts, we're holding on to those thoughts that are really events that have happened to us in the past. And we're always holding on so that we're always judging this present moment by the reference points of what we have in the past. Or we are always, on the flip side of that, we're always projecting into the future. But when we start to project into the future, we're using that data from what we know in the past to formulate our projections into the future. So basically, it's a vicious cycle that keeps us hung up and locked into these thoughts. Whereas if we come into the moment and quiet our minds, we don't have to project into the future and we don't have to keep reliving the past. We can be in the moment, which is actually very freeing. And part of what I'm writing on and talking about is Willie Lynch's document, How to Make a Slave. This was written in the year 1712. And Willie Lynch said this document will last 300 years. So we're coming into 2012. And in coming into 2012, what does that mean? In the Mayan calendar, that means it's going to be the year of changing consciousness.
Well, let me interject for a minute because I want to talk about the power. When I was growing up, it was the Black Panthers, right? Black Power. Then
Right
Public
on.
Enemy came with Fight the Power, and with you it's Take Back the Power, and that's the new millennium, Take Back Your Power. And so I know you have a book that you're writing, and I know Taking Back Your Power is going to be in there. And when I met with you, we talked about the Mayan calendar and the 300 years, and I know that's going to be part of your book. So can you share a little bit with us about this experience that you're getting ready to embark upon the world?
Well, yes. This is, Willie Lynch's writing, How to Make a Slave, was written in 1712. It's now 300 years, and he said it was going to last at least 300 years. And what is the Willie Lynch document? If I could break it down in a couple of words, it's a lot of non-love feelings. based on fear and brutality to imprison people to act and respond in a certain way. So back in the day when they would tar and feather a slave, or when they would take a slave and tie him up to 4 horses and have the 4 horses run in different directions and have the women and children watch this. This put such a level of fear in the subconscious that we were always reacting to. And so what has happened over the years is that we have lost our power. We've lost our power to all this fear and all this hatred and all this giving the power over to quote unquote, because when we talk about slaves, we're talking about black Americans. When we're talking about slaves, you know, we were always looking for the approval of master. You know, we were always looking for approval outside of ourselves. Now I'm just going to flip the screen just a little bit and go back to the release method, which is basically based on Patanjali's yoga and releasing and letting go. And in the release method, it says, what is keeping us from imperturbability? And what do I mean by imperturbability? It's a state where nothing disturbs you, where nothing takes you out of your peace. A beautiful state to get into, because then nothing can stress you out. And the 3 things that came up is always looking for or wanting approval, wanting control, and wanting to feel safe. So now as we go into wanting approval, what is wanting approval? It's wanting love, wanting somebody, you know, to basically say, I love you. Wanting to get that love and that feeling of love and support. One is wanting to control. Wanting control is wanting to be able to manifest your own destiny. Being able to take your thoughts and direct it and get that. And what is feeling safe? Wanting to have a peaceful environment and be peace. Be peace within and peace without. So we're always looking for that. We're always looking for those 3 things. And so when we give away our power, when we don't take responsibility and we're blaming somebody for our actions, what happens is then we are always in this state of disease. We're always making ourselves sicker and sicker because we're always getting away from the source. We're always getting away from the God within. And nobody can tell you how to come to God. You have to come to God for yourself. You know, we can go to church and it's great to fellowship, but in the end, there's only you and the Creator. And you don't need anybody to intercede between you and the Creator. So when you take your power back and you find that you are divine, that is the greatest state of your power, because then you can walk. And the thing is, then you start to use your mind to create. Because the greatest power and the greatest law is the law of attraction. So when you realize that when your thought is going a mile a minute and you're living in the past and you're thinking on all these things that have happened to you and recreating them, by the law of attraction, you are still attracting all those things that you want. So in the year 2010, and as we progress into 2012, it's time to tell a different story. Tell a different story for your life. Let that old stuff go. Because when you start to tell a different story, then you're going to start to create. And then you can start to create everything that you want. The law, God has made this earth so abundant. And the economic state that created slavery and creates all these diseases and pandemic proportion is that 1% of the people control 90% of the income and the revenue. So that means that 99% of the people are fighting for 10%. We are fighting for the crumbs. Whereas our God-given nature is abundant. And everything that has been planted on this earth has been planted here abundantly. starting with love. The more love you give, the more love you have to receive. And the more spirit that you want, it's all in the breath. And now the breath is here. The air is free. So the more that you can take in, the more that you can take into that spirit, and the more that you can give out of your spirit. And again, I say the closer and closer then you can become to your calling. So the more that we realize, instead of saying that we have to redistribute this pie and stop settling for crumbs. And the whole thing is that if we are going to change our consciousness, if we are going to fulfill the destiny of the earth, we have to, number one, take responsibility and change the consciousness. And so when I say change the consciousness, every consciousness that I can think of, every consciousness that comes to me, I have to take 100% responsibility. I can't say I'm above that or that's not affecting me anymore, because I'd be lying to you. What I have to take is 100% responsibility and then start to clear that within myself. One of the methods that I'm using to clear right now is called Ho'oponopono. So that data is, I just say, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you, please forgive me. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. And you just keep doing that until you get back to zero, till you quiet your mind completely. But in order for us to fulfill, if we're going to fulfill the prophecy and have the golden age on earth, we have to change the consciousness completely. Because the consciousness that we have right now is not working. It is just not working. The amount of stress, the amount of unhappiness, the amount of people not living their bliss. We should all be walking the streets with these smiles on our face and just be living in bliss, in love. But yet we walk in stress and we feel the weight of the economy. But we have to find a way to get this so that everybody shares in the abundance and everybody lives in the abundance. And once you take your power, you realize that nobody can stop you from loving and nobody can put thoughts into you. So that you can just start to change that and start to take 100% responsibility for the thoughts that you have. Because once you do that and you realize that power that you have in doing that, then you start to change and shape your whole world.
One last question, Mike.
Just one?
Yeah. Right now we're getting ready to do some things with First Lady Michelle Obama and her Let's Move campaign. I'm working with an organization, the Alpha Obama Club, and there's a program called the Hip Hop for Better Health, trying to promote health, a healthy lifestyle amongst young people. As you well know, there's an obesity epidemic in schools everywhere with young people. And I want you to give young people some words of wisdom about diet, exercise, health, and nutrition, because this Hip Hop for Better Health program is definitely going to have an impact. It's going to have celebrities working. I know you're going to be a part of it. And working with these young people and the First Lady, we have to make a difference in the lives of young people at a young age. So can you just share some words of wisdom for the young people out there?
First thing is, I can appreciate what you're saying with the celebrities and the name recognition, because that's part of our society. But what I'm going to say to you is, don't give your power away to anyone. Don't give your power, number one, don't give your power away to me. I hope my words inspire you, but you have to live your life. You have to find your calling. You have to find what inspires you. And I hope what I've shared with you today will inspire you. But you have to take your power back. And the whole thing with the obesity and everything that's going on, again, we have to stop dialoguing with these words obesity.